The Texas Department of Public Safety proclaimed it to be the #1 unsolved murder mystery in Texas.
You know, had this happened today, it would have been a slam dunk. Somebody would have been arrested and convicted for what happened.
Texarkana, Texas is one of those towns you probably haven't heard of unless you pass through it as a pit stop. There's tons of gas stations, hotels, and there's a sign you can pose in front of while you stand in Texas and Arkansas at the same time. But in the mid-1940s, Texarkana was booming. Prohibition had ended 10 years before, and the Army Depot nearby contributed to the city's rapid growth.
I always think of Charles Dickens' opening for A Tale of Two Cities as the worst of times and the best of times. It was the best of times in that the war was over and people, trying to get back to normal and having peace and maybe prosperity, at least they were hoping for it. And we'd go away from the rigors of war. And then it was the worst of time because there was uncertainty everywhere you looked.
But mixed in with the bustling crowds of people passing through town, a notorious serial killer stalked the city streets at night, targeting young lovers in parked cars.
And this was the thing that set the town in stitches of fear.
The Phantom Killer would kill 5 people over the course of 10 weeks in Texarkana. And then, he disappeared. I'm Peyton Sims. In Season 2 of Devilish Deeds, I'll tell you about the serial killer who targeted my hometown of Texarkana in the 1940s. Despite there being plenty of suspects, the case is still unsolved.
I mean, there were hundreds of them, and some of them even confessed.
The story's even been fictionalized, in a movie you might have seen.
Boy, was that title that got it exactly right, The Town That Dreaded Sundown.
Despite this case being over 76 years old, you'll hear from the people who are still trying to solve this case today.
My family started talking about the Phantom killings and told me that I had had a cousin who at one time claimed to have been the Phantom Killer, but that everyone believed he had been ruled out.
And why they think the case is unsolved.
We didn't have near the abilities of analyzing evidence that we do now. We didn't have a fraction of the knowledge of how to investigate a scene that we do now. Preservation of evidence was barely a thing.
And you'll hear from experts and local Texarkana citizens who think they know who did it.
Well, in the minds of many of the officers, it was solved, but it wasn't officially as unsolved. And at the time, the fellow was a major suspect. They had untold numbers of car thefts, easily proved, even confessed to. But he was pretty resistant to confessing to this.
Listen to Season 2 of Devilish Deeds, wherever you get your podcasts.